And we're going. Okay, welcome, Gnome team, parents, and students. It's Mr. H here with a Friday social studies update. I know we just did one on, I don't know, was it Monday? Yeah, Monday. But I wanted to come on back and talk to you a little bit about what we've been doing and what we will be doing here in social studies class on the Gnomes team. So, first things first. Today is Friday the 13th. And we have 1 week until a relatively major project is due. That project is called the Fertile Crescent Times. I hope you've seen this yellow piece of paper, or you've been seeing your student work on an assignment like the Fertile Crescent Times. It is basically a newspaper article where students will be creating 3 separate newspaper kind of article clippings together into one piece, and each of the stories need to follow into the 3 things we talked about within the Fertile Crescent. So there needs to be a Mesopotamian story, there needs to be an ancient Egypt story, and there needs to be a story about Judaism. The students had some leverage and latitude to go where they wanted to go within those topics, so they could have written about Sumerian inventions from Mesopotamia, they could have written about Hammurabi, those are some we talked about, they could talk about the irrigation, which is something we talked quite a bit about, the Tigris and the Euphrates rivers. Under Egypt, they had mummification has been very popular, talking a little bit about the pyramids and the tombs, the pharaohs themselves a little bit. They had some latitude there as well. And then with the world of the Jewish people, excuse me, the Hebrews as they were called then, if they wanted to write about some of the major celebrations, they could have done Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, which we talked a little bit about how those came to be. Passover has been an interesting one. Or they could have talked about the Exodus out of Egypt. That has also been a popular one I've seen people talking about. So in the end, they will have something that looks maybe like this one right here, which I created as an example. They have a template on my Google Classroom that they should be able to get to and use. This is not a requirement. If they want to use the template, they certainly can. It gives it to them in 3 nice columns. They do need to have some sort of image with a caption for each of the 3. So 3 total images, 3 captions, 3 stories, not more than, 10 sentences or so each for each of the sections. That assignment is due in 1 week, so Friday the 20th of November. Students have been working on it in class. They have Spartan time to work on it. They don't have any other class time to work on it. It can be done on the Google Classroom on computer. It can also just be done on a Pages or a Word document. It does not have to follow that exact format. That's just one they can use, and it's on the Google Classroom. If they want to do it by hand and write out the things, and draw pictures, totally fine as well. They just have 1 week to do it, so please double check with them that they are engaged and they are working on it, and know that it is due on Friday. Now, we have been talking about ancient Greece, and one of the things I wanted to bring to your attention, and I'll link this to you here, is this is our unit overview sheet, and at the bottom of the unit overview sheet is all of the vocabulary words that we feel are super important for students to understand for that unit. So this one is obviously for ancient Greece. It's something that you might want to start to take a look at home and start to talk about those words with your students a little bit. And do they understand them? And are these words that are starting to build into their vocabulary? And so that's something that I'll link on the site here, and you can start to talk to them a little bit about. They won't know all of the words right now, but by the end of the quarter or end of this unit, they should be able to take off all of those words and understand them. We did finish our Greek quiz on geography, which looked like that. Most students really did quite well on it. A few students not, but in most cases it was an excellent, excellent example of them understanding some of the geography of the Greek world, which is important because the mountains of Greece and the water that is nearly surrounding Greece really did keep these city-states separate. And so we wanted to understand the geography so we can understand the city-states and why they kind of developed these different cultures, even though they were all Greeks. And so right now we're working on the city-states. We're talking about city-states, we're understanding city-states, and we're really focusing in, of course, on Athens and Sparta, which you can see right here behind me. We're doing a little bit of comparison between the city-state of Athens and the city-state of Sparta, and what made them similar and what made them different and why they were so interesting to talk about. That's what we'll finish a little bit more on Monday. On Monday, we will also do a little bit of work with some Greek gods and talk just a little bit about symbolism and how symbolism and the Greek gods work together. We also will talk a little bit about Alexander the Great, some of the Greek philosophers, and maybe just a little bit about Homer and the Odyssey and Iliad, the two stories, those epic poems that he wrote about the Trojan War and Odysseus coming home. We'll end with a debate on the Parthenon frieze, which are the pieces of the Parthenon in Athens that were taken off in the 1700s by a British man and taken back to London and are now currently on display in the British Museum in London, and the debate over whether or not those should be kept in England and kept in the British Museum or returned to Greece and kind of put back together with the rest of the Parthenon that's still in Athens. So that's where we're going with Greece, and after we're finished with Greece, we will move on into the Romans, and then we'll get into the Byzantine a little bit towards the end of the quarter, and that's what's going on right now. So if you have any questions, please let me know. If not, I hope you have a fantastic weekend.